Bravehearts, Urbanites, Coach Mad Hatters, Vineyard Creatrix, Crimson Velvet VIPs. Welcome to my Friday, October 21st, 2022 at 8:58 a.m. DMV Standard Time. So I earlier this morning recorded a segment which will upload before this one, and that's by design because after I finished that segment, I had the urge to consult the cards. Now, even though I, for the most part, am, well, I deal with my cards on a daily basis for the most part. But as I've mentioned before, most of the time it is for me to gain insight around some of my non physical spaces. It's really in communion with my interior dialogues. That's the main reason why I deal with tarot. But sometimes I do get the urge to speak about it with others or use it as a power pointer when I get ready to facilitate the sessions that I upload to the channel. And so that's specifically what the intent was for this session. And when I say I'm completely amazed, I really am. And so what you're looking at right now is the layout to what came to be from my hunch to consult the cards. Now, the first row is what came out first, and the bottom row is what came out second. And then after all of that was said and done, and then the card, the bundles, that's rubber band, is what is on the bottom of the deck. So the top row and the last row is from the same deck, and that's what came out first. And then I got the hunch, well, you know what? Let's just put some clarifiers in the middle just to see what it really has to say. And so that's what the middle row is. And the card that's on the bottom of the deck from that deck. Then, after all that was said and done, I got the hunch to pick up my Angels and Ancestors Oracle card deck to just pull one card to give the opener, the eye opener that I like to call. And the, my participation, my interaction, my engagement with the cards never ceased to amaze me. I am so grateful that I went beyond what I thought I knew about tarot and went down a rabbit hole to see for myself. Because the messages that come through to me could never be rendered by someone else. That does not mean that I am not into sitting before other tarot readers. But as I mentioned before, when I sit in front of other tarot readers, it's class in session. Even if it's just to honor their style and the way they interpret things. Because context matters. And I have learned so much from the varying ways by which people interpret their world or how they see their world. But I also notice that there are these varying demarcations that always seem to show up when I sit before a tarot reader that reveals their ratios of nurture and nature. There are some tarot readers that will be worried about the time, and so they try to swiftly get through it. And then there are some readers, tarot readers, that can draw it out. And next thing you know, you sitting in front of them for 2 hours. And then there are some tarot readers that um, like all the fluff. And there's nothing wrong with that. Let me just say, Me making these distinctions is not to determine it right or wrong. It's just me as I observe it through my scopes and point of views. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong. This is just Thea's world. We are at Thea's World 101. And so you can kiss it or diss it. We are in a space where there's tons of flexibility and you deal with the stuff by which it resonates. Okay? And so I'm grateful for my curiosities around interpretation styles. There are some that, oh, let me say this, and this is another thing that I noticed that, that, and this is specific. Guide tarot readers are very straightforward, even the way they line up their cards. Now, I will say sometimes I get a little antsy because I would like to see the cards, but not all readers are situated like that. And when I mean what I say, see the cards, I mean see them hit the table in real time. Sometimes I don't even do that. But I noticed that for the sake of scholarship, sometimes to see the table and see the cards and see how they fall and things like that, it's helpful. And I noticed that mostly guys do that. Guys will show you, they will have the camera fixed on the table so that you are focused and not really, well, yeah, mostly guys. There are some girl tarot readers, and I am purposely speaking in terms of guy and girl. But I noticed that yeah, some girl tarot readers will, but mostly guy tarot readers will let you see the cards in real time as they fall, and they don't have to be all dolled up and carrying on. But even though that's still delightful too, it is what it is. So just as it's almost like YouTube is almost like, especially when it comes to tarot, it's almost like the tarot marketplace, and there are these different suites, and you can walk through and visit with the different styles of how people read and interpret life through the cards. So the card that came out was so delightful that is going to direct the flow of this conversation is the arrow. Surround yourself with protective energy. And the reason why this is even encouraging me to record this and talk about it is because the segment that I just recorded was completely talking about the protective natures of energy and how certain things can be transmuted when we're talking about metaphysical alchemy, or the metaphysical processing and chambers to get to that elixir, which is like the gold. And in speaking in metaphysical, metaphorical terms, I have translated that into the golden enlightenment. So all that one must go through to transmute metals into gold. That's the physical aspect of alchemy. The non-physical aspect of alchemy is when the light bulb comes on, or the ahas begin to harmonize, or things become clear, dots begin to connect, the bigger picture, all the puzzle pieces that didn't make sense before, the bigger picture now begins to emerge. So at the top of the row, in the top row, is the Four Wands, the Page of Wands, the Ten of Wands, the Two of Pentacles, the Page of Swords. Now, I will say, when these cards first came out, I was a little, not really worried, but just a little apprehensive, because I too would like messages to come through that have somewhat of a optimistic tone or tempo. But then I got to reel it in and tell myself that we are harmonizing. And when you think of a symphony, the bass, the boom is included as well as the flute or the clarinet or the saxophone, trombone, the cymbals, the tambourine. And I have been the violin. Oh, I love the violin. But I have been doing my due diligence to be ready to run off all of the different aspects and correlations inside of a symphony, all that it takes to conduct a symphony. And you need a little bit of everything. And the key is to knowing when to usher it in and usher it out, all for the sake of harmonization. So then the bottom row, which is what came out simultaneously from the top row, is the Ten of Cups, the Temperance, the Sun, the Queen of Pentacles, the King of Pentacles. Now, by the time those cards came out, I was like, oh, we cooking now. Oh, we are cooking now. So before the middle, before the middle row came out, I looked at the bottom of the deck that's on the top. The top bundle, I turned it over, and it's the Seven of Wands. So then, like I said, I got the hunch to just do a mild clarifier. So that's where the middle row came into play. And that is the Empress, the Page of Pentacles, the Four of Cups, the Two of Cups, the Knight of Wands. And at the bottom of that deck is the Knight of Cups. Immediately, I saw the Four of Cups that opens up this spread and the Four of Cups that's in the middle of the spread, and I began to thinking. So, real quick, the Four of Cups inside of one of the guidebooks, which is also quite fascinating to me, that even though from guidebook to guidebook, usually tarot decks come with a guidebook and it gives summaries associated to certain cards. And one thing that I've noticed is that even though there's a running theme with the guidebooks, certain guidebooks will give you a little bit more and certain guidebooks will give you a little bit less. So the Four of Cups offers, it offers, and opportunities are flowing. Offers, okay, let me slow down. Offers and opportunities are flowing to you, but for now you are saying no. Contemplate your next steps and focus on what is important to you. Remember, the card that we are leading with is the arrow. Surround yourself with protective energy. So, because the Four of Cups came through in the main as well as the clarifiers, it is leading me to say that the offers and opportunities that are coming forth, even with the immediate instinct to say no, that we'll know the truth by the way that it feels. Also, keeping in mind and heart that what's right for you might not be right for me, and vice versa. I've always been on this mission to clear up the differentiations between what's considered success, what's considered destiny, what's considered meant to be, what's considered good, evil, dot, dot, dot. And so, in pondering that, this catchphrase constantly kept chiming in, is this and that is true, all depending on the point of view. I think we waste so much life trying to deem or designate something, person, place, right or wrong. When if we have blind spots, then it was right for them. Now, one thing my oldest sister, I call her Big Sister Reese Cup, and those who know me personally and also know my sister know she is the sweetest thing I've ever known. But this is one thing that she does when she speaks in her authority, whether it's in her big sister authority, whether it's in her mama, like her sons and their friends call her Mama Bear. So even when she's in her Mama Bear mode, or even when she's being a daughter in conjunction with her relationship with our dad, like the authority that she arrives with is still of a very nurturing. My sister is a Taurus, so she is the Queen of Pentacles all day long, all day long. And but don't get it twisted, she's still a Taurus now. But she chooses to lead with a certain type of nurturing tone, even when she needs to correct you, or need to get the record straight, or need to investigate. So, so incredible. So Reese has this way of making sure that when she speaks, you understand. She says, "This for me. This is how it looks for me. This is the way I feel, how I process. This is the way it's showing up for me. It was wrong for me. It was right for me." She makes it very clear that when she's speaking, she's not speaking in generalizations where you wrong. No, because lo and behold, because of the complexities by which we engage with one another or each other or ourselves, does not automatically deem you wrong, even if we are at opposing views. That's one of the reasons why I don't demand apologies. Now, I will give them because from my intention through to the end of results, things get tricky. Some things can get perplexed. If things turn out or it was received that is not in harmony with my intent, I will do my due diligence to clear that up. And if it's received in a way that I did not intend it, my apologies are swift. And I won't try to do the whole I'm apologizing to you because I know you need it. Uh-uh. The apology is from me, it sprouts from me, it's launched from me. So this is the reason why I give it freely. But also on the flip end, I'm not apologizing if I don't feel like I need to. Because my truth is my truth. So I know that I navigate in murky waters when it comes to uh, deciphering between right and wrong. So I've done myself a favor and just stepped outside of that box with figuring that I am the determiner of right and wrong because this world is full of opposing essences and opposites. And even though opposites attract and likeness attract, and there's all these complexities, try itemizing a mixed drink. I say it all the time. A Long Island iced tea is one of the most complex drinks on the planet, and yet it's desirable and it's complicated and will literally fuck you up if you're not careful with it. And yet it exists. It's for some people, it's not for others. So, this and that is true, all depending on the point of view. Me stepping into that zone took me out of the whole me needing to judge anything right or wrong. Because if it exists, then it is so. I also look at the realm of alchemy or even the realm of mystic magics. I have, through my attraction for ancient text, am finding out that there are certain spells or certain conjurings that were not meant for some folk and it detonated in their face. Now, allow them to control the narrative and then they'll call it black magic. They'll say that it's evil and yeah, because it's like you shouldn't have been fucking with it in the first place. So now that it turned on you, you want to holler from the rooftops that it's evil when you shouldn't have never been playing with it in the first place. So it gets tricky, right? And so This is what I believe this top row is talking about. I think that us doing ourselves a favor and getting true to our point of view, stepping outside of these limiting beliefs of right and wrong, and knowing what is for thyself. For the sake of clarity, let's just do the page of wands really quickly. Really quickly, because with there being two pages, there's a page of wands in position 2 of the top row, and then there's a page of swords in the last position in the top row. We are at the beginning of. So the page of wands, you are free spirited with you are a free spirit. Let me slow that. You are a free spirit with a passion for life. You are filled with new ideas, giving you a feeling of creative restlessness. You feel a strong pull towards using these ideas to start a new phase of life. A spiritual path may be calling you, which ties into the first card on the top row. So amazing. But in the mix of you doing all of this, as an individual inside of your own inner healing, there will be things that will be required for you to release. And I think that's the reason why the Ten of Wands showed up in the middle position in the top row. It came out front line and center to say that there will be things that you must energetically, emotionally reconcile. Also part of the non physical aspect of one's life. So, the Page of Swords. You have a curious mind and love to ask questions and learn new things. You are a natural communicator and are ready to take the next steps to share your message with the world. This is what I found out to be most true with creative people. Creative people, I'm not speaking about the professional trade industry genre. No, I'm talking about those that are naturally curious, and by the end of it, something has been created, whether it's a shift in paradigm, a new way of thinking, a new way of viewing, a new way of acknowledging, accepting, affirming. That's also a new thing. And then somehow, some way, learn to infuse this newness into whatever it is that you bring to life or manifest into the physical realm. So then let's tap into the bottom row, the bottom bitch. Let's bring up the rear. And so in the first position on the bottom row is the Ten of Cups. You have created a life of connection and bliss by following your heart and trusting your intuition. This is a sense of wholeness, completion, and alignment with your relationships, in your relationships with others. And I'll even go as far as to say, in your relationship with thyself. It takes a lot to trust one's interior dialogue. It takes a lot to rely on that which you hear on the inside versus all that's being spoken on the outside of you. It takes a lot of trust and just trust, deeply rooted trust, to speak something that no one else is speaking and then have the courage to stand in that, regardless of what's being said about you without you. So, with the very next card on the bottom row being Temperance, one of my favorite cards of the entire major arcana of the tarot, is because it's balance. My Black Moon Lilith is in Libra, and I'm talking about the aspects of my birth chart. When I first started learning about the mythology around Lilith, my whole world shook. And then to find out that there is an astrological aspect to Lilith, and that Libra, the s- the balance, the I want to say liberty. I always think when I think of temperance and when I think of um, the justice card, I was drawing a blank. I kept seeing the scales, but when I think of temperance and the justice card inside of the major arcana, I always think about the Statue of Liberty, the original Statue of Liberty. The black woman that was gifted from France to America before they wanted to whitewash her. The one with the original chains on her ankle. Her. We talk about her. When I think about the original Statue of Liberty, and I ain't making this up, as I always invite you, tap into your research. Just go down the rabbit hole. Don't be afraid. I am the Coach Mad Hatter and I endorse this message. So, the original Statue of Liberty that was given in good faith of the way that America was propagating the way that it was treating its slaves and the way that it was treating its black folks. And I'm telling you, this is why I believe so much in journals and chronicles and essays and personal narratives because had they not discovered the slave narratives, the mainstream message that constantly said, oh, we got happy slaves, would have continued into the historical motif. No, the slave narratives bust that wide open. And then they had to go and retract. And this isn't the first time they've tried to make their, and when I say they, I am talking about the powers that be that have shifted and molded American society. I don't speak in terms of this man-made ideology called race. But if it is what it is, then it is. But in this context, when I am talking about they, I am talking about the societal engineers of yesteryear. That's who I am speaking about. And so they took it upon themselves, as they always did, the ones that owned the newspapers and owned the tabloids, the same way they assassinated the character of cannabis, all for the beneficial arrangements of killing entire forests for their paper, for their tabloids and their newspapers and carrying on. This is what I mean in terms of original intent and resonance. And temperance showing up on the bottom row is a strong reminder of how balance is so necessary and that we can't always be in this tone and tempo of ultra positivity, even though I still say I'm waiting on folks to begin really truly checking receipts, checking the notes on with how energy is arranged, and positive equals masculine equals solar. So every time, like I said before, every time I hear somebody saying something about positive vibes, all they doing is telling me to stay in my masculine vibes. And I'm still waiting for folks to check me on this. Go check it. Go check it. And the low vibes, which is the feminine vibes, which is the lunar vibes, is what mainstream and everybody who latches on and suck at the titty of mainstream continue to say something about low vibes. And it always puts me in the frame of mind that we are still living in an anti yin culture. They will throw around the balance of yin and yang, the balance of masculine and feminine energies, but once they begin to continue to talk And we all, I still do it sometimes, but I'm getting better with checking myself because, as I said, now I'm so sensitive to it that my mind instantly goes to the structure of my chakras. And even if the speaking term, let's take it out of the terms of masculine and feminine. Even if you talk in terms of the way the chakra system is situated, low vibes are the root. It's the subconscious. It's the deep down in the valley. But if you really think about it, mainstream wants you to stay away from the valley because it doesn't want you to be contemplative. It doesn't want you to ponder things on your own. It wants you to take what it delivers you and keep it moving. And as long as we are focused in this ultra positive high vibe thing, without having the proper context, we are subconsciously continuing to endorse a lopsided point of view by which harmonization will never take place. Only in the balanced sensibility, only in the heart chakra, only in the middle realm, only in Middle Earth is this particular harmonization with as above, so below can truly synergize. So, the next card right after Temperance is the Sun, and then truly bringing up the rear is the Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, and the King of Pentacles. Even the way that it came out, I I didn't really holler, but I did hoot. I was like, "Oh!" I was like, "Oh, okay," because it instantly told me that there is still hope for the true harmonization of masculine and feminine when it is embodied in earthling experience. That there is a string of manifestations because the individual is taking the time to get clear with itself. And then when it shows up, without trying to dominate the results or the outcome, knowing that what is is. And so the very last card is the Knight of Cups, which is on the bottom of the deck of the middle row. To clarify, is that was the very last card to come out because, as I said, the middle row I didn't even think to pull it out until after the top row and the bottom row was already out, and that does matter. That's the context that matters. I really wonder where we would be as a collective if we became patient with receiving proper context, where we no longer accepted these snippets or these strings of cut and paste, and that we step back from ignoring that the efforts to divide and conquer are well, they are alive and well, and to just slow down before we swiftly want to judge things or figure that we know things. I always ask for context. And I was doing this before I even knew it was a thing, just because, as I've often said, I'm an observer and I'm a dot connector. So, so before it even became trendy, context matters. I was a conceptual, contextual person. I rely on the context because it helps with the fortification of my comprehension. Now, even though I don't ask a whole bunch of questions, I'm not a nosy person, but when it comes to relating, and I always say, us as human beings, we are in this third dimension to relate. You don't have to agree to be able to relate, meaning I comprehend. You don't have to agree with the comprehension, but I comprehend. So, I think that might be it for now. Um, I do feel a little, I feel a bit philosophical especially with this middle row. The Empress, the Page of Pentacles, the Four of Cups, the Two of Cups, the Knight of Wands. At the bottom of the deck, the Knight of Cups. Uh, Mainly because everything except for the swords is represented. And with the Empress being the first card in the middle row, um, being sandwiched in between the Four of Cups and the Ten of Cups, the Empress stands to remind me that, for one, the Four of Cups is never really truly translated here lately with the majority of the tarot readers that I've been flowing with. The Four of Cups always seems to come out a bit weird. Um, it doesn't speak about offerings and opportunities. The Ten of Cups is always a magical card when it comes out, regardless of what reader it is. Everybody loves the Ten of Cups. Everyone loves the Two of Cups. Everyone loves the Sun card. Everyone loves the sunshine. But that's still masculine energy. And we wonder why everybody, male or female, or guy or girl, is so fucking masculine. Because you're sending everybody into this ultra positivity zone and nobody really understanding the context of it all. Not understanding what it does to their subconscious natures when they're only focused on the positive and completely screwed and spooked when it comes to so-called negative. You got to be mindful of the way mainstream define things versus the way you and your intuitive values will define things. And I know that feels like a bit of a challenge. Maybe it is a challenge. I don't know. I'm not sure. If anything, when I get to talking, it's more for me. I'm challenging myself more so than I'm challenging anyone else. But if it resonates, look into it. I'm not telling nobody what to do, but if it resonates, look into it. And I think let's just for the sake of clarity, let's hit on this Page of Pentacles real quick. So, the Page of Pentacles, you are inspired to start a new financial or career opportunity and see the potential to grow and manifest your goals. You are ready to up level your skills and learn something new. And in my opinion, to be positioned to learn something new, as I've said in a couple of other sessions, I love rabbit holes. I have an energetic anchor to my roots. I cultivate my roots on a regular basis. So I always have the proper anchoring to go down rabbit holes. Always. And I know that might seem a little weird because if I'm talking about the roots and rabbit holes are situated to go down, then what would I need an anchor for? Because anchors can get cranked up and down. So remember, context matters. Let me give you some context. My anchors, my energetic anchors can crank up or down. So I'm always attached to my, what is it called? My life preserve. Because I know that there's levels to this. There's just like, what is it? Area 51, like, what is it? 50 something stories down into the core of the earth. As above, so below. So, and plus, my Virgo nature, my Mercury nature, and inside of mythology, Mercury was the only one that could go into the heavens as well into the underworld. I take great stock in that, especially as a communicator. I take great stock in that because if I do not speak about the highs and the lows, then my view is lopsided. Thus, my communication will be lopsided. And I will say the Two of Cups is one of my favorite cards as well. So let's get to it. So you are creating deep connections and partnerships based on shared values, compassion, and unconditional love. You see the divine in others, Nurture these new relationships as they hold potential for the future. As one of the things that I was speaking about in the session that is posted right before this one is how I had been unwittingly drawn to certain stories and films and what I like to call my film meditation moments about these heroic women whose characters were assassinated, who the popular opinion wanted to crucify them, and how these small nuances and a handful of champions brewed something that took the whole narrative and busted wide open. And then the collective was forced to look at the context by which certain things unfolded and was contributed and those sorts of things. If we always focusing on the superficial or the topical stuff, that stuff that's above, we truly do be missing the rooting systems of how things connect and separate and bring together. We be missing the functionality of the gears. So yeah, I think I'm gonna end it here. As I said, because I have this energy. I'm feeling so philosophical right now. I want to talk more about the coupling of the Queen of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles. I really truly want to talk about the Knight of Wands and the Knight of Cups because that just feels like, especially as it's being adjacent to the Two of Cups, it feels very substantial and passionate and driven and precise. In the earlier segment, I brought forth the highlight of intention and resonance. Intention and resonance. I believe that that's going to be the combination all the way through the rest of my Chiron return. And if you don't know anything about your Chiron return, your Saturn return, your Pluto return, I suggest that you go searching for a few astrologers that are speaking about this thing. Now I do have my picks, but who I chime with, you may not. So, as a coach Mad Hatter, only thing I can do is extend you the invitation to go down a rabbit hole. Go searching for that which you seek. And by intent and resonance, I believe you will be put before the one that needs to explain this to you or plant the seeds or spark your curiosity so that you may go further with your understanding and comprehension and context patchwork.